Welcome back to Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. Okay, we're now going to talk about energy. Now, there's a certain type of energy that comes off of the animals that we have. We have this like gorgeous dog from the Animal Foundation. I always say our pets are sentient beings. And you see all the research when people talk about the energy that dogs, cats, ferrets, snakes bring to a human being. But we're also taking a look, and what we're experiencing on the planet is a shift of energy from person to person among people. And here we have, my guest now is Howard Cooper. He has written this book. It's called The Emergence. And we're talking about the energy shift that's happening person to person and this new era, this new way of being that we're going into here on our planet. So thank you for joining us today. Now, just really quickly, what led you to write this book?
Quickly?
Yes, as much as possible.
It actually was a psychic experience. One morning, about 3:30 in the morning, sound asleep, I heard two words, Leo Cygnus.
Okay.
I mean, I heard them. And I woke up and I went, Leo Cygnus, what the heck's that all about?
Right.
Tried to go back to sleep, looked in the morning about the constellations, Leo and Cygnus, thought there was a relationship. There isn't, except that they're all in the cosmos. And felt this energy shift that was coming to this planet. Looked on scientific websites. I looked on spiritual websites, metaphysical websites. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing about this. So I started.
And this was in 2016?
16,
right.
In December of 2016.
So relatively recently.
Yes, very recently. And I started to write about it. And what it wrote about was that it was a revealed transit, that this energy, which was immense, it was much bigger than this planet, much bigger than my consciousness, was able to accept. It passed through the Earth over a period of 7 days, and from the December 22nd to December 28th. And I saw it almost like the star, like the North Star, but it came from, as my writings developed, it came from the constellation of Cygnus. Somewhere about 1420 BC was when it took place. But it took that long for us to receive that energy. It was immense. And what I felt was it was changing the way we look at our belief systems.
Yes.
We had to look at our belief system in a different way. Well, I got the information so late, did some YouTubes, did some writing. It really didn't go anyplace. So after the event, there were several people who participated over the 8 days. I thought to myself, well, maybe it was just my imagination.
Sure.
And so one morning in early January, I heard two words, again, around the same time, Ta'apuat, and land of the rising sun.
Okay.
I went, what does that mean? So because I was involved in the Labyrinth Society, I knew that the Ta'apuat was a Navajo labyrinth.
Okay.
So thinking that I knew all about it, I went to the book, looked at it, and when I opened the book on the Hopi Nation, I suddenly realized right at the top was the word, the emergence. And when I opened it, it was like somebody downloaded an entire book into my consciousness, because I suddenly realized that we, as a species, effectively go through the labyrinth of life, all of us.
Right.
And each of us have our own design, what that labyrinth looks like because of the challenges we have, the lessons we're here to learn.
Right.
And so I was able to understand that we're effectively coming from what in the book I talk about, the age of darkness. Now people will say, yeah, but we've had the age of reason, we've had the Enlightenment, we've had, I've got to say, when we look at this planet and what we've done with it, or haven't done with it, we're in the age of darkness.
Right.
Because the only thing that we do different when it comes to battle is how quickly we can kill one another and how effectively we can kill one another. So we need to, in effect, look at the consciousness that we have and look at our belief systems in order to change.
Right.
Einstein says that we cannot address a problem using the same consciousness that got us in it.
Exactly.
So what's happening, the book talks about a little bit, and the book is like a little bit of the waves coming on a shore. It gives you a lot of information and then it kind of pulls back.
Right.
And then it gives you more information and it pulls back. So there's an ebb and flow in the book
Right.
as to what happens, and I go into what took place much deeper.
Well, the person who referred you to me is Mona Van Joseph, known as Mystic Mona, and she's one of a group of women and men that I've actually almost grown up with. So in one hand, I have been surrounded by light workers. So this is not new information for me. However, I found that this conversation is not being had amongst other people. And what impressed me about your book and your background, it's not like you grew up with a bunch of light workers and to have these conversations.
No.
You came from a pretty standard background, 40 years. Yeah.
Well, I was a financial executive for 50 years of my
Right.
life. I'm no spring chicken. And so I have a thorough business background.
Sure.
I was in CFO, I was an executive vice president, ran operations for a large mattress retailer in Southern California. So I've, the day-to-day
Sure.
householder, as
Sure.
it would be called. But also, I also had a desire to understand how the ancients knew about sacred sites,
Ah, okay.
how they knew where to put the.
So you already
Right.
had, even though you had, your standard American background in terms of being a businessman and going out there, you still were curious. You had at least some inkling that there was more to life than a 9 to 5.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we have gone to miracle sites. I had, many years ago, I had a vision of Mother Mary and Kuan Yin.
Wow.
And which I won't go into it because it's a very long story. But that led me to miracle sites in France and England. And we took a group of people to these sites. And there's the energy, there's the spirituality, there's the earth energies that you come in contact with that change people. That's where miracles happen.
Right.
Because we allow our consciousness to receive input that we wouldn't ordinarily receive in the day-to-day world.
And now in your social circle now, do you find yourself having to convince people of this energy, or are you finding yourself just sort of like people are coming to you, you're going to people who at least are willing to open their minds and consider what you have in this book?
There's really not been that much of an exchange at this particular point in time. I think there's a lot of people who are getting information about what's taking place
Sure.
and how it's taking place. From my perspective, this is a change. And the change is that through our history, except for very enlightened beings, and there have been many, most of us have just gone through our lives, going through our lessons, the pain, suffering, and things that we go through, the joys. We don't know why we're doing it in the greater context. From the insights that I've received because of these experiences that I've had and the information that I've received, we're now able to understand what's taking place.
Right.
We can see and experience with consciousness. We can be aware of what's taking place. Instead of happening to us, we're being given the opportunity to participate, which is really important because a lot of us don't develop our potential the way we need to. That was when I had my business career. One of my focuses with the people that worked for me was, what is your potential? How can you advance in life? It didn't make any difference if you were in the warehouse or you were executive vice president or the head of marketing. It made no difference. We all have potential that is unlimited. The only thing that stops us is our belief in ourselves and our understanding of who and what we are.
What part does the internet play in this? Because I go back and forth about this. On one hand, now through this technology, you can talk to someone. I was upset because I'm a big fan of the Maasai. That the Maasai now have cell phones. They've got smartphones. I thought, well, but now that's a group of people on the planet who can communicate with anyone, everywhere. Right. So is the internet that type of sharing of an experience? Do you think that it's going to help this sharing of information about energy, or does it hurt it?
Well, I think it's what you do with it, because there's misinformation that goes out.
Sure.
There's information that is, it's imaginary.
Right.
It's not real world. And some people could say what I'm talking about is not real world. Right. Well, my position is you're going to find out that I'm a lot more accurate than you think. But, it's like you have to choose. You have to pick and choose what talks to you, what feels right to you,
right.
And not just go off just because it's the latest fad.
And I would really encourage people too to find like-minded people, to have these conversations. The thing that I really loved about Mystic Mona talking about this book is that we have locals, and my next guest also is, she's really an artist whose energy work is very apparent in the art that she creates. And so this is part of getting that word out, and also to be with somebody, to resonate with them and know that you're not alone. I think maybe there are people out there just like you. When they came on, I'm sure at first you thought, is this real? And so to know that you're not the only person who's getting these insights. Right. And little by little as we get together, it sort of builds up a new force. Right. It reinforces it.
Well, it's a little bit, if you ever read the book Good to Great, it's like the flywheel. In order to get the flywheel to move, it takes a tremendous amount of effort, and it takes a group of people to do it, and then the more people that work on getting that flywheel moving, you overcome inertia.
Yeah.
And that's really what this is, because it's breaking through the concentrated concept of who we are as people. And one of the things that is reoccurring in this book is the fact that we've been, through our experiences, we see one another as being separate.
Right.
We see differences instead of seeing the uniqueness of each of us. We talk about snowflakes and the fact that there are no two snowflakes.
Right.
Well, there's no two people that are alike either. And so that's really what we have to understand, that we're unique, we're expressions of a divine source. And to understand the sacredness of who we are, so we'll stop killing one another without any real reason. I mean, there's a lot of things taking place that cause us to go from these extremes that we're experiencing now. But the idea is to go through these extremes and come to a unity, come to unity consciousness.
Well, I would encourage all of you to reach out. This is Howard Cooper's book, The Emergence, A Time of Accelerated Change. And seek him out. He's a local guy. Your book is available on Amazon,
Balboa Press, Barnes & Noble.
And he's a local guy, so support him and get out. You can probably find him. He's got a website, and sit down and have a conversation and see how we can build on that and make not just Las Vegas, but this world a better place to live. Thank you very much, Howard, for being on. And coming up next year on Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese, a local artist whose work really exemplifies the type of energy exchange we're talking about, so stay tuned.